Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's really cool to be here. I have a really good one for you. Today I'm going to be taking a bit of a deeper esoteric occult dive into a Lana Del Rey's chart. So I have been wanting to look at her chart for a while. If you know me and you know what I do, hello. For those that are new to my channel, I am a full-time astrologer, artist, author, and occultist. I practice all different levels of study of spirituality, if you can put it that way. But I am more fascinated with the types and patterns of living things and, of course, psychology, psychometry, and what makes us us, It's really, really interesting. I always come back to the thing that Frank Herbert wrote in his book series June. I think that man was just an absolute beast of a mind. I am fascinated with great minds as well. I will be doing more videos in the future unpacking themes of the great thinkers of the past. But one of them comes to me, and I think it's interesting when it comes to astrology, and that is, he said, the day shapes us, but we shape the day. So there is a preset agenda, there is a preset archetype, there are certain kind of milestones or key points that a human has to go through in their journey here. And astrology is fundamentally the blueprint of who you are. Some people don't realize this, but yes, it is an untapped superpower. And to me, it's crazy. I'm 40 and I still can't believe that with all the knowledge that we have and all the knowledge that I have about all of this stuff is that it's not used by the mundane. Just quickly mentioning that, a lot of very, very wealthy families will have occultists on tap. They will have psychics on tap because a lot of rich families, kings and queens and that sort of thing are always going to be under some level of attack. And so if you can have someone that can do this level of work for real, then you have someone that might be able to deflect a lot of things or have access to future timelines, etc., which will help you basically get the upper hand if you're in a fight or if you're in some kind of legal thing. That being said, I'm not going to rabbit on about that. I really want to get into this chart. So if you don't know Lana Del Rey, very, very interesting woman, interesting character. I have not overly been interested or really knew much about her until the last few years. It was probably about 3 or 4 years ago I started getting into her very famous album, Born to Die. And I've just found her so mysterious and kind of like a modern day Jackie Kennedy vibe meets Elvis Presley kind of vibe. Her aesthetic is very reminiscent of bygones gone by, kind of like Americana, like the golden age of celebrities, and kind of like Marilyn and Lana Turner, I believe was her first name. I'm not sure what her real name actually was. I think that she's played the way that she is presented and interpreted in the media very, very well. And I think that as a performer, there is so much mystique around her. And it's really interesting. She's not overly exposed by like the media. She seems to have this like mysterious presence to her. And so when it comes to interesting people, I always want to look at their chart and work out, what's going on. How did this come to be? And I have been listening to a lot of her music over the past few years, particularly when I'm like really high on coffee and I'm painting in my little space or I'm making art. As an artist myself, I am always listening to podcasts and music, and I often found myself putting her music on repeat a lot and re-listening to songs, because there is like an introversion that she has going on in her presence. And I think that kind of sad girl kind of vibe really is something that I've wanted to understand. So that being said, I'm going to bring up her chart. Now, the details that we have around her date of birth are the one that I'm going with, was that she was born on the 21st of June 1985. So she is an 85 baby, yes. I am also born in 1985 as well, so I'm the same age as her. So she will be turning 40 this year, actually, in a few months. So interesting that we're on the same astrological dates there in the year. So we didn't have a lot of access to her chart. I think for a long time people thought that she was a Gemini, but I'm only going with the most accurate one that I've been able to get for her date of birth. As you know, your date of birth is very important. All the planetary correlations will impact different aspects of your life and your houses. And the reason ultimately why I'm doing this is because you can see what I do. And if you would like to book me for an astrological chart reading, then you can do that. And I will look at your chart just how I'm looking. I'm going to look at her chart, right? I'm going to give you the same thing. So this is what I do. At the moment, it is available for purchase on my website. I am potentially looking at creating more of a brief option. So rather than doing 45-minute readings with my clients and looking at their chart, I am potentially looking at doing more of like a 20-minute reading for a slightly lower price. But that will be something that may come up in the future. I am looking at it now. That being said, please go in and book me, plug over, let's get on with it. So her sun is sitting in Cancer, and it's not overly sitting in Cancer. When I look at a chart, I always look at what I call the red zone, which means with the report calculator that I use to open up someone's chart, red means pain. And so when I opened up her chart, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of pain here. Her Cancer is in Sun. So her sun is in Cancer. So she has a reminiscence. She has an interest and an introspection that she wants to project to the external world of the past. So Cancer, or the crab, is an intertidal species that walks sideways or backwards. So she's always looking back into the past. As an artist, she's always trying to recreate the past or regain control of the past. This is a very big thing that Cancerians do. So if you are a Cancer, you'll know what I mean. Now, her ascending or her rising sign, if you're new to astrology, so where she was born or when she was born on the eastern horizon, it is sitting in the Scorpion. So she is a Scorpio rising, and it is sitting in the Scorpio at 15.28. So that's quite a bit of a strong placement to have within her Scorpion. This is pain. This is going and unpacking emotions and events and replaying them and distorting them. This is a very interesting aspect to have in conjunction with her sun being in Cancer. Her moon is actually in Leo, and Leo, of course, is the artist. So her inner world, her most private world, is sitting in a public sign. It's sitting in a public house, which indicates that she wants to project her external world as an artist outwards. Okay, so Leos need an audience. They need to perform. They need to create. This is a being that really has a lot of emotions that want and need to ooze out of her. When you look at her and you look at the way that she presents herself in conjunction with her Leo moon, this is a person that would really control a lot of how she is seen. So she would have the final say over all of her music. She would have the final say over all of her album artwork. She would have a very tightly knit and intensely focused control over her public house, because her public house is sitting in her moon. So she wants to project herself outwards to get that external validation, because Leos need external validation, okay? So that's what comes up straight away when I look at the big three of her chart. All right, so she's taking things that she has done or past experiences that she's had from a place of pain, which is what Scorpio rising does, and then it needs a place or a way to transmute that pain and that stinger. So it's like she could even be subject to a lot of depression, a lot of suicidal ideation in conjunction with her Cancer sun, means that she has to project everything that she feels inwards, outwards, by publicly sharing it. And when we look at a lot of her songs, they're all about unequated love. They're all about this romanticism of falling in love with someone and running away from them, and kind of even like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing where you romanticize a toxic relationship that could even be violent. I remember, I think it wasn't video games, but it was one of her songs where she made direct references to very rough sex. You know, Scorpio rising definitely would, that's something that comes up quite a lot with Scorpio rising. When she's in her house of Venus, which we'll look at in a minute, it's very sexual. And when you have that level of intensity, it's like going into other places in sex to change the way, like to change her state of consciousness. Okay, so that's something that she does just from within herself. It's just who she is. So we've got a very shy energy in the Cancer. So I don't think that she would be a very big, like really, really great live performer. I actually think she'd be quite shy and timid on stage. So going up on stage to her would be quite scary. I have heard that even though her shows aren't overly like, you know, Miley Cyrus, or they're not overly like Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift, she doesn't put on a dancing show. What she does is emote, and her deep emotional pain that she pulls from within herself really connects to people on a more personal level. So I don't see her doing like world tours with giant big stages. She is more of an indie girl. So I would see her more kind of performing with her shoes off on stage, very grounded, very Venus energy, probably more like music festivals. I see her doing that type of performing over like selling out arenas and stuff like that. That's not really her charisma, because her charisma is sultry and seductive, and it's very kind of like a little bit femme fatale. The dark feminine is something that is very around the way that she presents herself. And taking those, you know, the past imagery of the decay of Americana and a retro kind of vibe in her video clips, is like big beehive hair and cinched waists and things like that, is bringing something that has happened in the past into the future for new people to discover, for the new generations to uncover. And that is one of the strengths that we see when we see a Cancer sun. You know, Cancer sun are collectors. A lot of them are renovating their house. They're collecting antiques. So things of that nature she would be very interested in. She's a very interesting person, just looking at her chart. You know, this is really cool. And that mysterious vibe that she has is that she doesn't want to be overexposed. She doesn't want to do lots of interviews. This is a very private person that isn't going to share a lot necessarily about her relationships. Okay, but we know that when it comes to Cancer sun in conjunction with her, let's have a look where her Mars is in Cancer as well. So she's got Cancer in her Mars, which is the passion and fire. And then we've got the Cancer is sitting in the Mercury. So she could be a teacher as well because her communication is so strong. But she's got a mother figure going on. Leo is serving mother. Her moon is in Leo. It's mother energy. So people can relate to her and they feel very deeply the journey that she brings you into this music that she's got. It takes you into kind of a reminiscent state of love and betrayal and even destructive critical thinking and that type of thing. Her Venus is in Taurus, which is a really beautiful place to have the Venus. That means that she loves love. She loves the idea of love. And she would have high visions of the White House, the white picket fence, the big car, you know, making muffins, you know, things like that nature would be something that she does. Okay, so it's like the Venus is very much a homebody. So I see her spending a lot of time within her home. I wouldn't be surprised if she has like an art studio that she might do pottery in, or a studio that she does recordings in. It's very internal. So her Scorpio ascending in conjunction with her Venus in Taurus and her Mars in Cancer, it's all about the home. It's all about being domesticated. It's all about feeling safe and secure. So this indicates to me that if she's not financially secure on some level, that she won't be able to create. So I do see when it comes to a Leo moon that she would not be very good with the management of money. So she would need someone else to help her manage money, or at least be a financial advisor to her about buying properties and how to secure money long term. Her Scorpio ascending means that anyone that crosses her will be getting a cease and assist letter. She's very tightly knit about her brand and her projection, because her Leo is in her moon is all about projecting, but the Scorpio is about containing how the projection is seen to the outside world. Okay, so that's what I was meaning back there. Now I'm going to jump into her Lilith. Lilith is always big for me, and I like to go there first because it's always like the darker aspect of her chart. She does have a lot of self-destructive aspects to herself. Her Lilith here is sitting in Taurus. So this indicates she can have a tendency to create codependent relationships with other people that can sometimes go sour and leave a bad taste in her mouth. It also seems that when she merges with someone in that traditional sense, because Lilith is like going against marriage, Lilith doesn't want marriage, and it's in the same place as her Venus. So where her Venus is sitting in Taurus and her Lilith is in Taurus, it's like doomed relationships from the start, doomed marriages. I think she recently got married not too long ago, and that would worry me, because when your opposition of love is sitting in the same house or the same placement as the Venus, it's like the thing that she loves the most, that she wants the most, becomes the thing that entraps her the most, because it's an external thing. Okay, energetically she is very much sitting in the Leo. So it's like a very creative, strategic person. The Leo in conjunction with the Mars in Cancer means that she needs a muse. She needs love. And so when love goes wrong, she takes the heartbreak in her ascending Scorpio and then makes art from it. That's how she makes art. So it's like after someone breaks her heart, she goes and makes an album. So she pulls from her own life. Now, the Leo moon as well, I remember when she first came out, she had a very different approach to how she was seen. I think she had tried different names, and the names didn't work. So she kind of did the Marilyn Monroe thing where she changed her name into something more exotic and then created a character around the archetype of the brand, much like a lot of artists do that, like Lady Gaga. That's not her real name. Lady Gaga's real name is Stephanie Geranova, or I'm not sure if I pronounced that, Germanotta. I think I got that right. But a lot of artists use like a, what's it called, a pseudonym, and they create an identity around that, and so Alana has also done that as well. So she's very good with branding and she's very creative. People sitting with the Neptune in Capricorn, I've noticed, and the Uranus is in Sagittarius, so she's born to be famous. A lot of people with Uranus sitting in Sagittarius already come from wealth when they're born in that placement. So I wouldn't be surprised if her family was quite wealthy. I wouldn't be surprised if she has some kind of rebellion against her father or a father figure with her Neptune sitting in conjunction with her Capricorn there as well. But you see, the perseverance of her is that she makes art that looks and sounds good to her. And because she makes it for herself, that bravery to not make art for other people that looks good to them is what her true power is, because she is a poet. There's a poet here. Okay, so her Jupiter sitting in Aquarius means that, that's quite, she expands through weird ways. And because Uranus is sitting in Aquarius, it's the ruling planet. So how she expands is through the mind. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's played with a lot of character dress ups, or like dressing up as other people, putting on, things like that. I think she did a few years ago. She popped up in the media because she was serving burgers in a diner. Like she was wanting to be a waitress for the day just to see what that would feel like. So putting on other people's personas and getting inside someone else's life psychologically creates external expansion in her Sagittarius, which is where her Sagittarius is sitting in the Uranus. Now, relationship-wise, she would be very submissive because there's so much Taurus and Cancer within her chart. So she's very dominant in her external world, but in her home life and sexually, she'd be more of a sub. So that means that with that much femininity in her chart, that she would be attracted to more masculine men and men that have acquired power and stability through financial gain or monetary gain, and usually that comes with older men. So there is an aspect to her chart that would be attracted to older men. I think she actually had sexual relations with Harvey Weinstein from memory a long time ago. I'm not sure if that's true, but she did write a song about him. Also, she would have burned a lot of bridges with her Cancer sun in conjunction with her Leo moon, where she's documenting and diarising lovers and exposing relationships that she's had publicly, which would actually cause problems within relationships for people that don't want that to be exposed, particularly if they're like married and stuff. So a lot of her scorpionic energy is really about kind of, I know this is strange, but it's almost like she enjoys the pain. She enjoys the pain of like an eating disorder. She would enjoy the pain of overindulging with her Taurus and Lilith, like eating too much until she got sick. This is all about extremes. So up and down is very, is what I feel here in relation to her chart. When she's up, she's up. And when she's down, she's very, very down, to the point where she could be quite like snappy with people around her, like moody, as Cancers are anyway. So yeah, it's interesting. Scorpio rising with the Saturn in the first house means that she would have had to have grown up very quickly. And it indicates with that conjunction with the Uranus in Scorpio at 15 degrees there, it's like she would have also been quite a precocious child. She would not have been easy to deal with. So Capricorns age backwards. So it could have been that she took things very seriously as a kid. Everything was very serious. She was very determined to become a celebrity. She was very determined to create her image. And I think that she actually did her first song, her first big one was, I think it was Video Games. And I think that she released it on like Tumblr or something where she just made it on her computer. So she's very creative. She doesn't sit around and wait for a team to help direct her clip or, a group of people. She does it herself from looking at pictures and inspiration that she draws from like her life and, times that have gone by. I kind of see her watching like silent videos and things like that and kind of mishmatching different music genres together, like pop and indie pop, and then overlaying tones and things like that, which is her creative side would totally do that. So it's interesting. In conjunction with her sign, I do see that her North Node is sitting in the sitting in Taurus as well. It's in the same place as her Lilith was sitting. So that's really interesting. I don't come across a lot of North Nodes and Liliths that are in the same place. So it's like there's a push and a pull with her. And so it would be her needing to so the world or the universe works in polarity. So if you don't get something in the internal world, then you have to get it somehow in the external world. So that indicates that she's got a very strong, like a will, and if she can't generate it herself, she'll find people around her that can do it for her or will help her on her journey. That's really, really present there as well. But she's all about beauty. She's all about Venus. And Venus is sitting in the play out of the 7th house. So she could be quite codependent in a relationship, which I think I mentioned. But it's all about her understanding her own beauty and having her own image reflected back to her in a partnership, which is what she'll need. So she may need her partner to tell her that she's beautiful all the time. She may need to be reassured that she is amazing all the time. That codependent or that almost like anxious attachment style relationship dynamic is something that Alana has as well. Let's continue. The energy comes up very strongly in the Leo, being the sun. So it's like as a kid, she would have been like, Mummy, look at me. Mummy, I can do this. I can say hippopotamus. I can tap dance. Mummy, that type of thing. Needing an audience, needing to be seen, and needing to be received is very important. She would have formed very tight-knit relationships in her childhood. Her childhood years are very strong in her chart. Okay, so putting herself in a center stage situation and framing that in like her trauma from her childhood for the world to see is where her power sits. So when I see her moon is sitting in the 10th house, so it's like about family. Family is very important to her. And it's like, if the family isn't right, then she's not right. She's got to be in a place of peace with them and a peace with like, everything has to be secure and really, really in a good place for her to go out and into public and be seen. That type of thing as well. So family comes up very strong there as well. Let's have a look. Ultimately, it's like her poetry. I mean, she's a poet and she's a singer. Her poems are in her songs. So she's a very, very good writer. She's got an ear for like catching melodies and things like that. She has an illustration aspect. I don't know whether she did artwork, but her visual projection is very connected to her music and melodically how she hears music. And her her chart is just all feminine, and her stellium is sitting in Cancer as well. So it's like just replaying events in her mind so many times over. and to the point where she can regain control of them as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of pain in her childhood, like abuse in her childhood as well, or her putting herself in kind of like extreme situations that would have really pushed her limits. I also see like the father figure is very strong. People with the Leo usually have a rebellion against the mother or the father, and then with her placement within the Capricorn, it's the father. So father figure there is very strong as well. So women that don't get or girls that don't have strong father figures or absent fathers that aren't really able to receive them, they usually recreate those relationships with older men. So that's something that she would have done quite a bit. So let's have a look. What else can we see there as well? A rebellion against rules and expectations. She just had this very strong belief, Jupiter in that house. Let's have a look back. I think it was in Sagittarius. Sagittarius has a very, very strong belief in themselves. So it's like even if they're down to their last dollar, they'll still find a way to make money. They're very, very good business people in that regard. Like they've got this optimism that no matter how bad it gets, she can get herself out of trouble. In a crowd, I don't see her working well in a crowd. I don't see her going out into crowds. That's just not her. She's a very one-on-one person, spending a lot of time with her husband and her family. But yeah, a lot of unrequited love is there as well. So love that was romanticized, I see as well. So potentially with that Venus sitting back in the Taurus, that's kind of like in conjunction with her Cancer. It would be like maybe people that she had a crush on that she romanticized about having an affair with or being with, but she never called them, she never met them, that type of thing. The ideas of things is something that Cancers are prone to do, where they can build up someone in their head that is somewhat very different to the person that the person actually is. So I see that as well. Addictions are around her as well. Pluto is in her 12th house. So this is really about like drugs or drinking. Definitely something that would put her outside of her own sense of consciousness. I wouldn't be surprised if she's dabbled in like more like heavier drugs, not like meth, but potentially like cocaine or even some kind of like prescription medication, that type of thing, something that slightly distorts her consciousness, or even a joint, and then she will create from that place as well. Visually, I see her spending a lot of time on her own. So lots of isolated periods of just sitting and watching and observing things. There's a stillness to her energy because her Saturn is sitting in Scorpio and it's there at 22.22. So that's what they call the God hand in astrology, 22.22 or 11.11. So it's like, so observation, diarizing things, recording things. She might hear something out in the world and then she'll bring it back and then re-add it to another recording and then dub that and overlay something on top of it until it's all about exploration. And that's the Sagittarius in Uranus is about exploration of her feelings of things. So it's like expanding outwards is what the Sagittarius does. So it's like this playfulness with music, and if she's not feeling like making an album, then no one's going to get her in her studio. She only does it when she feels called to do it. That Leo pride there in her moon means that if she will not release something unless she really fucking backs herself and backs what she does. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's a really cool chart. I'm just loving looking at this. What else? Yeah, it's all feminine. It's all Venus. It's nature. It's the mother. It's the womb. And that's what comes up a lot with her energy. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a bit of like a vagabond, where she may even travel around America and go and stay in different houses and get inside the psychology of shifting her, like exploring what it's like to be other people, listening to a lot of philosophical conversations from other people's knowledge, that type of thing. There is a very strong energy around her with her grandfather as well. I'm not sure if the grandfather taught her how to play chords on a guitar. I can do readings as well, so I'm just picking up that as well energetically, not just that this isn't just a chart reading, I'm tuning into her frequency, but there's a very strong connection to like New York, Long Island, Coney Island, going on a Ferris wheel or something. But that's there as well. So also there's this other side to her where I see her kind of living in a trailer park or living in like a part of America that is very dilapidated, like the Bronx. So she's not afraid to, she doesn't live in her ivory tower up in the Hollywood Hills with the gated community. No, she's very down to earth. She's very approachable. This is a woman that you could meet at the pub and have a beer with, and she wouldn't really give a fuck. She's real, stretch marks. Like there's a reality to her. So I see that as well with her energy, and it's really beautiful. But yeah, the big album that comes up around her energy was, I think it was the highest selling one that she had was the one called Born to Die, which had the song about the racehorses and I think what else? I mean, there was so many on there. There's some real bangers on her albums that she's had that are just so strong. Summertime Sadness, kind of like a sad beauty queen, living in a trailer park, high heels on, the color like I'm just channeling her energy now. It's like chap red lipstick and very high, thick eyeliner and maybe even a shot of whiskey and, just being really free. There is a rebellion and freedom that's in her chart because her Saturn in the Scorpio at 22 is really strong. So, she'll continue to do more albums, but her albums will not recreate what she's done before. She wants to create new things because Sagittarius doesn't want to do the same old thing again. But her vibe and her aesthetic and the people that grew up with her music at that time when she came out really big, they've kind of grown with her as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if she did like a very stripped down piano like album production where she's just playing chords on a ukulele or something. So yeah, something a bit different. I also feel it would be difficult to manage her as a label because she is so, she may not call you back. She's really an artist. I love you, but don't touch me. That type of thing. Stay away from me. She needs a muse, basically. She needs love and heartbreak and pain. And there's a relationship around suffering and subservience in her life that transmutes into her artwork and into like synthesizing beats and things like that. Really interesting stuff. I don't see her overly collaborating with other artists. I just think that she likes to stay in her own lane and do her own thing. So yeah, this is just me doing a bit of a quick deep dive. I do offer 45-minute readings on your chart if you'd like to book me for a chart reading just like this. I love doing this. And please, just go to my website. You can just book it there, put in the details and send me an email with your name, date of birth, location of birth. And I give you guys 3 questions if you want to focus those questions on any aspects of your chart that you want me to kind of really go deeper into. I'm really into doing that for you. Otherwise, you can just book me for a phone consultation, for a spiritual consultation as well. So I look forward to hearing from you. This is what I do. I hope you've enjoyed me talking about the Miss Lana Del Rey and unpacking her really interesting, complex chart. I've really enjoyed doing this. I love looking at this stuff. It's so cool. But yeah, please reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, I hope you're having a really, really good week. Lots of love. If you'd like me to look at another public figure's chart, another singer or a politician or maybe someone else, I'm really cool. I'm totally up for that. Please reach out to me. And I will see you in the next upload. And I look forward to looking at your chart. Bye, bye, bye.